over on YouTube as well. So, hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. On this page, I talk about technology and money. Welcome to all the new subscribers to the channel. For those of you who are coming, who are watching this from the future, welcome to my channel. On this page, I talk about technology and money. If you are new here, please do like the video and also share and consider subscribing to the channel. Liking and sharing the video does two things. It helps this content get out into the algorithm and lets people know that you find this content interesting, engaging, and it helps other people. It helps the YouTube algorithm find other people who finds this same information interesting like you do. And then number two, it encourages me to continue creating content that you all find helpful. So before I get into today's topic, today is checking the date. It is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. So before I get into today's topic, I hope you're well. How are you doing? Hope you guys are having a good summer. Let's see. I think this is the first video I've done maybe in about 2 weeks or so. My summer is ended up being a lot busier than I expected. It's been an interesting summer, but I hope yours as well, and that you are doing just some good things to take care of yourself. We're live on TikTok at the same time. So for those who are on TikTok that are coming in and out, if you please consider liking the video. And then I'm going to be sharing my screen for those of you on TikTok. I'm also live on YouTube. So you'll see me looking at, I got TikTok here and I got YouTube here. So if you're on TikTok and want to be able to see the screen, like sharing the screen and the articles and things, or the information that I'm going to be sharing, come on over to YouTube, same name, and you'll be able to see the content. So today, y'all, let's get into today's topic. I really wanted to take some time to talk about this topic, and it's really interesting. So we're going to be talking about Black Girls Code this evening, and I don't plan to be before you all very long, but we're going to be talking about Black Girls Code. Okay. And the news that has been coming out of Black Girls Code over the last 3 days about their CEO and founder, Kimberly Bryant. Now, and then just the news, okay? And if you all have not heard, so Black Girls Code, now let me back up, let me slow down. So about 8 months ago, I did a video about this as well. So about 8 months ago, unexpectedly, at least to the public, Black Girls Code organization let go of their CEO and founder, Kimberly Bryant. I did a video on that, and I'll be sure to link that video in the YouTube description after the video. Welcome to the folks over on TikTok. I see folks coming in. Please do consider liking the video. It helps this content reach more people. And then come on over to YouTube, same name. I'm going to be sharing my screen. We're talking about Kimberly Bryant, CEO and founder of Black Girls Code. So I'm always excited to see all the folks joining us on TikTok. So about 8 months ago, Black Girls Code unexpectedly let go, pushed out, got rid of, however you want to say it. She's no longer there. The CEO and founder of that organization, Kimberly Bryant. Now, to the public, very unexpected news, very surprising. There were a lot of articles written about it. A lot of folks in that world, in the tech world, or not in the tech world, but familiar with the organization, was talking about it. Really interesting, very unexpected. And like I said, I'll be sure to link that video in the description. But over the weekend, about 3 days ago, Black Girls Code tweeted something really interesting. Now, mind you, let me pause and do my little disclaimer. Like I always tell you guys, especially if I'm sharing information and things like that, please don't believe everything I say. Okay. Always do your due diligence with anything you come across on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever, about technology, about money. Don't ever just take something someone says and run with it. Okay. thoughts of my own. I always want to make sure I just say that. Okay. So let me share my screen here because it's really interesting. If y'all have not heard the news, okay, let's see. Welcome to the viewers here on YouTube and then also on TikTok. I see more folks coming in on TikTok. I'm also live over on YouTube. Please consider liking the video because it helps the content reach more people on both YouTube and on TikTok. Okay, but yeah, y'all. And you know what's interesting? Let me just say before I share my screen. What is really interesting about this news that have come out about Black Girls Code and their decision around their CEO, well, the former CEO now, Kimberly Bryant is, now I have been watching all of the tech news outlets. There are a lot of tech news. There's several tech news outlets that I follow for news and updates. And then also just like business websites. Do you know, now mind you, Black Girls Code tweeted what they tweeted about, ousting or no longer having the CEO. Do you know I have only seen one news outlet write an article about it, and that is Business Insider. And I Googled again, maybe about an hour ago, just to make sure. I'm like, what's really interesting is like, no one is talking about it, meaning, folks are tweeting about it. Like if you go to Twitter and do a search or go to Kimberly Bryant's Twitter page, which I'm going to share, you can see folks tweeting about it, but none of the major news outlets or tech news outlets are talking about this news yet, which I find really interesting. And then we're 3 days, almost 4 days into this news. Okay. You think about 8 months ago when Black Girls Code first, when all the news first broke, how many websites, news outlets and things were talking about it, but no one is talking about it now. Okay. No one, meaning I've only seen one article, and that is on Business Insider. And they have that one article behind a paywall. So I don't know what that means. It might mean nothing. It might mean something. But like Umar Johnson says, you don't find that suspicious? 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 I find it suspicious. I don't know. It might mean nothing. It might mean something. All right. Let's share my screen here. Let's make this as big as possible for y'all. Okay. And for those on TikTok who are just joining us, we're talking about Black Girls Code and the latest news coming out of the organization. Y'all know I love talking about technology and money. So all right. So and then mind you, what Black Girls Code tweeted a couple of days ago on August 12th was one of the first times they have tweeted about this ouster in a long time. I'm talking about, I think a good amount of months. Okay. So like when the news first broke in January, we found out about it from Kimberly Bryant's Twitter page. And then I think Black Girls Code said something sent like a cryptic tweet or two, but that's about it that I have seen. Okay. Now, mind you, I'm not the whole world and I don't follow everything, but maybe their social media pages may have tweeted some more since then. I haven't seen it and I may have missed it. And I honestly have not gone back months and months through all of their tweets. But I think this is one of the first times I think they really said anything since all of this news first broke back in January. So anyway, Black Girls Code tweeted, they said, quote, as Black BGC enters a new chapter, the mission remains the same. We would like to thank Kimberly Bryant for her contributions as the founder and CEO, end quote. Heather Howes, board chair, she said that apparently. So Ms. Bryant will move on from CEO and board member of BGC. So she also lost her board seats. She was CEO, she was founder, and she was also a board member of her organization. The entire community wishes her well on her next endeavor. And so then they also included in their tweet a quote that Kimberly said many years ago in Ebony magazine. Quote, I hope to literally change the world with Black Girls Code by changing the paradigm which produces the current monolithic ecosystem in technology, end quote. So that's a quote that she said back in Ebony magazine in March of 2014. So to me, this news, like I have followed, and I talked about this in the video I did back in January. Like I have followed Black Girls Code and the work that they're doing with introducing Black and brown girls to the world of tech and coding, and like as Kimberly Bryant says here in this quote, just changing that paradigm, right? So we know, just speaking anecdotally, that Black women founders in tech, Black and brown women, but especially Black women founders in tech, their startups, their businesses get the least amount of funding. I think what is like 1% or less of funding from venture capitalists, Black women founders of tech companies and startups. They have to bootstrap, pull themselves up by their bootstraps. We've seen articles and quotes and things from venture capitalists saying, there's a pipeline issue. They don't invest in these organizations because they're not out there, right? Which has been dispelled, right? So like the work that Catherine Finney did with the Project Diane, with the work that she did around Project Diane and improving that there is not a pipeline problem, right? There are Black women founders in tech really introducing ideas and things that make a difference. The work that Arlen Graham, I think is her last name. Y'all know who I'm talking about, who has invested in many, not only Black women founded tech companies and startups, but other startups and tech companies by those who are not considered mainstream. So anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent there. So that's what Black Girls Go tweeted over the weekend. So after they tweeted that, Kimberly Bryant, if y'all have not seen the tweet here, okay, and welcome to all of the folks on TikTok. I'm live on here on TikTok, but I'm also live on YouTube, and I am sharing my screen tonight. We're talking about the news, the tech news coming out. Thank you for the likes as well. I appreciate it. We're talking about the news, the tech news coming out of Black Girls Code, the organization, and how they have permanently, basically ousted out their founder and CEO, Kimberly Bryant. And if you're just joining us, and welcome to the folks on YouTube as well. So for both the TikTokers, and thank you for the likes on YouTube and also on TikTok. It was really interesting to me about this news. So, Kimberly Bryant, she's a Black woman founder of Black Girls Code, very groundbreaking work that they have done over the years. With this news, there's only been that I have seen. If y'all find another one, please do drop a link either in the TikTok chat or the YouTube chat. I have only seen one article about this news about Black Girls Code since in the last 3 days, and that's from Business Insider, and they have it behind a paywall, and I just find that so interesting. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. That's the news. And thank you everyone again for the likes on both Twitter and TikTok. Okay, so back to what Kimberly Bryant. So this is what she tweeted not too long after BGC tweeted. She said, "Dearest community, thank you in advance for your support. Please know that I was wrongly removed from my organization and the board of the organization I founded today without cause or an opportunity to participate in the vote of these actions. My attorney plus I will issue a statement." Now, I have been looking for that statement since she tweeted this and since BGC tweeted this on August 12th. I haven't seen a statement yet on Kimberly's Twitter page. Now, I have been following her Twitter page, and we'll look at a little bit more of her tweets as well. And also a bit, we'll look at a clip of the lawsuit that she is bringing towards the organization. And we'll also look at their website if you haven't seen it yet. But if you come down here to the quote tweets, you see like Minda Harts tweeted something. Minda Harts, if you all don't know, she's written 3 books on Black women in the corporate place, getting a seat at the table. Let's see, I got 2 of her books. The Memo by Minda Harts. She wrote that. And then Minda also wrote, where is her other book here? I'm looking over here, y'all, at at my bookcase. Where is the other one? Not Force of Nature. Okay. All right. She wrote 2 other books, but I've done videos on I have done 2 review videos on her books. So she tweeted something, and you can see other folks within the tech world and the business world tweeting back, etc. as well. So here's a little bit from the lawsuit, right? So this is a new lawsuit, okay? All right, so it says Kimberly Bryant, founder of Black Girls Code, filed a lawsuit Thursday in California Northern District Court accusing certain board members, and that's really key. And we're going to look at their board as well if you haven't seen the organization's board. Accusing certain board members of conspiring to take over the nonprofit organization. The case brought by Bonner and Bonner accuses the defendants of transferring access to the organization's bank accounts away from Bryant without consent, right? So she founded this organization, CEO, and she had a board seat until she got ousted back in like December, January. And pretty much, I don't think she's been involved since then. Continuing, undermining the establishment of a $20 million endowment and using employee resignations as a pretense for Bryant's removal. So let me pause there. So when the news first broke between BGC and Kimberly Bryant earlier this year, I think it was, I want to say December, January. I think it initially broke in December, and then that was over the holidays, and folks weren't, a lot of, folks, it's the holidays, right? And it spilled over into January. But what the board was saying and what folks were saying, that BGC had a toxic environment, and folks were looking at reviews, I think on like Glassdoor, one of those, or a couple of those job sites where you can read like reviews of organizations. But you have to be careful with those things, right? Because those reviews of organizations, they can be anonymous. Like I can go and leave a review for an organization and I've never really worked there. So just, take those reviews. I always take reviews of things and reviews of anything, even on Amazon, right? Or what you read on Google. I always take those with a grain of salt. Anybody can read those unless, they have like verified reviews, etc. So back to this lawsuit. Okay. Bryant asserts that these adverse actions were taken in retaliation for her raising concerns about board member Heather Howe's attempts to arrange a partnership with third-party online learning company Udemy. The suit also targets Wells Fargo and certain top executives. Now, let's just pause. Let's do a quick momentary pause there. So wasn't Wells Fargo the same bank that Wendy Williams was talking about wouldn't let her get access to her money? Is that, I thought it was Wells Fargo, right? What if it's not, maybe this misquoting. And, that bank has also been had other lawsuits raised against them in the past few years. Y'all know what I'm talking about, with different things around mortgages, opening credit lines in people's names, I believe allegedly for both of those 2 things. And then also the third latest thing about that bank that has come out over the summer with that organization allegedly having black and brown people applying for positions that had already been filled or were already like designated for other people. So that bank has their name is in a lot of people's mouth. Okay. So back to this lawsuit. The suit also, I said that. Okay. So counsel have not yet appeared for the defendants. They give them the case number. And then, so it's Bryant versus House et al., which is really interesting. So that board member is explicitly named in the lawsuit. So before I go into a little bit more of the tweets and just the things that have come out, because again, I just find it so interesting and a little bit just interesting that a lot of tech news outlets are not talking about this, okay? And it's been 3 days, right? And it hasn't been a holiday. So like when all the news first broke in December, January, it was like Christmas, New Year's, that's understandable. And then like all of these articles and outlets like Roland Martin, the big outlets, all Black, I believe Black Enterprise, all of the big outlets were talking about it. But it's been 3 days and only one article, and that one is behind a paywall. I don't know. It may mean something, it may mean nothing, but like, I just find it interesting. All right, so here's Black Girls Code website. Let's take a look at their board. Sidebar: I have always loved their website design. I just always thought Black Girls Code, whoever they have, they're doing their web design and keeping it update. I've just always loved it. Okay. I just always thought it's just beautiful. And talking about the work that they're doing and all of that, they do have a beautiful website. I will give them that. Okay. I just love their website. All right. So let's take a look at their board though. And the people, or some of the people, or one of the people or persons called out in this lawsuit. Let me just do a quick check on time, because I know it's the evening. Some folks may be just getting off of work and all of that, or getting ready for work. So I said I wasn't going to be before y'all long. So welcome to the folks over on TikTok. Thank you so much for all the likes. And thank you all for the likes on YouTube as well. I really do always appreciate it, because the likes do help this content get out into the algorithm. And so more people can find it helpful and interesting and engaging like you do. So let's take a look at their board. So here's their board. All right. But here is the person that is called out in the lawsuit. Now, I'll be honest. I don't know all of these people. I don't know Heather House. Of course, I don't know her personally. I don't know her background or about her, but here's their board. Now, she is called out in the lawsuit, which we just read through. Okay. So that's her. And I think she may have been brought on. She's like one of the newer members of the board, and you can see the rest of their board here. All right. So now let's look at some tweets since then. And I found this one from a Carla Monteroso. Very interesting. She said, now this is what she tweeted back to Kimberly Bryant after she broke the news about, her ousting from her organization. And Carla says, it is important to say, quote, "It is important to say I had started doing culture work within the BGC team." Let me pause there. So remember how I was talking earlier about how I believe I mentioned how they said that there were cultural, like some of the reviews or negative reviews folks were leaving on these job boards about that the culture of the organization was not good, that there was I believe like a culture of fear. It sounded like that it was toxic, etc. So I just wanted to pause. So that all came out in the articles that came out earlier this year, in which the work that this person that came in to like change the culture and change the environment was spurred by feedback from the employees. All right, so going back to her tweet. So I had spoken to the leadership team various times, done a full staff survey, was about to start focus group. A whole investigation happened, and no one ever asked me about any of the information. Now, don't y'all find that interesting? So if there are issues, now this is just, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, if you all are just joining me, this is just my opinion, okay? Thoughts of my own, but if there are issues, cultural issues within a tech organization, and you bring in consultants, outside people to help change the culture, if you're going to get rid of the CEO or some of the leadership, why would you not speak with the people who are doing the work to change the culture and get some information about what the staff are saying, just, what they have learned so far from the work that they're doing to change the culture. Now, let me just say, I've worked in tech for 19 years, give or take 19 years. And I have worked in an organization in the past, where that had cultural issues, that was toxic, just had issues. Like if you've worked in tech, you've worked in, or not even if you worked in tech, if you work in an organization that has cultural issues, they'll bring in like consultants or some folks from HR adjacent to like talk with the staff, do focus groups, do things, talk with the leadership, do things to change the culture. And then they'll do a report out. I have worked in an organization, and actually the organization got turned around. I eventually left, but it did get better after all the work, right, was done, and changes were made. Okay. But it's interesting that in this case, this person is saying an investigation was done into the CEO. She was ousted and no one ever asked her about any of the information, right? And then she goes on and she tweets some additional things. One thing I find interesting here, she said, if the consultant involved with the whole team doesn't get an ask to turn over their materials, there is a real legitimacy problem. There are tremendously important things for leaders on every side of these conflicts to learn. We do not get there without real conscientious building. It's going to be complicated and painful for all institutions to climb out. Yeah, and she goes on to tweet some interesting things here. It just in response to what's happening at the organization. And then just a few more things I wanted to look at because Kimberly Bryant has been tweeting relatively regularly every so often since the ouster on the 12th, right? And you can see other folks tweeting her back and some things that she's saying as well. But there was another thing I really wanted. Oh, how this person says, wow, what a read. We talked about how money changes boards. Remember that $20 million or that multi-million-dollar endowment that they got? And their bad behavior. This is the embodiment of that. You will prevail like I did and be better than ever. I can promise you that. And then she goes on to tweet. Again, this is Kimberly Bryant. For those who are joining us, we're doing tech news tonight, talking about the news coming out of Black Girls Code for those who are just joining us on TikTok. And thank you for the likes. And if you want to see the information that I'm sharing, also live on YouTube, same name. So Kimberly does say, a special warning for founders and entrepreneurs, especially women, Black women. Please know that demons walk amongst us every day. Protect yourself and keep your circles tight. If someone leaves a trail of sudden resignations and whispers from every place they've been, we ought to ask more questions. And just because someone looks good on paper doesn't equate to good moral character or values. And I'm wondering who she's talking about. Is she talking about some folks on the boards, namely someone I just called out, a couple of folks we called out? No, that's called out actually in the lawsuit. She doesn't say a name, but I'm just wondering. You can't do anything but just like wonder. And then there was another tweet that she mentioned here recently within the last 2 days that I found interesting. I'm finding it. Y'all just please bear with me. Here we go. I'm finding it, y'all. Okay. Monday thoughts. I just want to see women, especially Black women founders, be seen as human, be able to own their agency without hostile attacks, and be given the same second, third, et cetera chances as our male peers. Let it be. Because, some folks get a lot of chances. Some folks are given a lot of grace. I have worked in tech for a long time, and I can attest to that. Some folks get opportunities to not be as great or make mistakes and not receive as much, how can I say, as much, this is real interesting. So I've worked in tech, and there's just certain folks who are given more grace to not be perfect, not be the best, make mistakes, and don't receive as much, let's see, it's not punishment, it's not discipline, but some folks have it easier than others, and I'll just leave it at that. So some folks don't have to be as great as other folks. Some folks get a lot of grace, y'all. And boy, I got some stories to tell about that. All right, so back to the story. Maybe I'll tell it on another day because I have seen some things and I have experienced some things. Let me tell you. All right, so then she tweeted this morning, 10 plus years of founding and building an organization to a 40+ million international brand, which fundamentally changed the course of an industry and ousted without a penny a severance offer. Sounds like retaliation. Now, that's interesting, right? Because you remember she got ousted back at around like the December, January time frame, and they didn't give her like nothing. So Nicole Tenson says, this isn't right. When no one believed in the abilities of young Black girls, Kimberly did, and she did. The most important stakeholders that are impacted by this decision are the youth. This is really sad. It is sad. So then Kimberly goes on to say, let me break this down more. No severance offered, no healthcare assistance offered, and non-payment of bank vacation. This piles, right? So if you get fired or ousted, aren't you like entitled to, like, if you have, say, 3 months of PTO saved up, even if you were fired, right? Your organization lets you go. Aren't you entitled to your bank PTO? Right? I don't, maybe it's different for different states, different municipalities. I don't know. But I just thought when you leave an organization, however you leave, if you have like your if you have bank PTO, you get that. She didn't get that, apparently. And okay, so back to her tweet. Sure, not all of the above is mandatory, but we definitely offer it to others, and vacation payout is mandated by law. So, okay. I was like, now wait a minute. I thought you were supposed to get that. Yeah. So then she goes on to tweet some other folks. It gets to the fundamental issue of reparations, honestly, and why we have an unhealthy expectation for the aggrieved to carry the burden. Child, what in the world? Like my mom used to say, what you supposed to do about that? Now, one other thing I'm going to share. Oh yeah, I've always loved this picture. And she has it pinned to the top where she did a robotics camp for Black and brown girls. This was from several years ago. And as I was talking earlier about the tech pipeline and how the tech pipeline myth has been not proved or disproven. Like how folks say, oh, there's a tech, why venture capitalists say they can't find Black women startups or startups by women or minorities because there's a pipeline issue, meaning there's not a lot of people of those backgrounds doing work like that, which, that myth has been dispelled by Catherine Finney and her Project Diane work. And then also by Arlen. Is her last name Graham? It's not Graham, by Arlen. God, what is that lady's name that has invested in all of those organizations? And she has invested a lot of money. Oh, and someone says, because they're not really invested in changing anything. Wow, it's interesting. Yeah, good point. Very good point. ACD for educational consultant said because they're not really invested in changing anything. Sometimes it's performative. But the last couple of things I'm going to point out, and again, thank you for all of the likes on both YouTube and then also on TikTok. For the folks who are just joining us on TikTok, we're talking about the news from the tech news coming out of Black Girls Code and their ouster of Kimberly Bryant. All right. So, what I was going to point out. So I've been watching. Y'all know I be watching. It's like especially when the big tech news outlets, like if something breaks on Twitter, I always go out to the Googles to see if any larger outlets are talking. Sometimes, you read things on Twitter, and then when like the larger outlets write an article, you learn even more. That's how I do. Because I'd be like, okay, now they're talking about those on Twitter. Let's see if TechCrunch or some of the bigger outlets. How about there's only been one article, and it's 3 going on 4 days. Why is like none of the tech news outlets talking about this? And the only one you can see, I Googled it right before the start of this live. Only folks who've done the article so far is that's specifically talking about this is Business Insider, and that is behind a paywall. And you see the other articles are the ones from like back in December. I just find that so interesting. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is, as I was thinking about like the last couple of days and the news coming out about Black Girls Code and their ousting of Kimberly Bryant, is I was like, okay, how we've heard about this happening before in other organizations, right? But is this the first time we've seen an ouster like this from a Black woman founder in tech? I think it is. I'm not the world. I don't know anything. I'm not Encyclopedia Brown or anything. But I was thinking, as I was getting ready for this live, I was like, is this the first time we've seen an ouster, like a big ouster? Because this is a lot of money. That $40 million, $20 million endowment, right? But this is not the first time there have been ousters of entrepreneurs, okay? It's not. And I wanted to share that. It's definitely unfortunate, but it's not an aberrancy. Okay. And I wanted to make that clear. So let's just share. I had Googled, I did my Googles to see, okay, now I know this is not the first time founders have been ousted, but I did want to just look at, let's see, are y'all seeing that? Let me just do a momentary pause real quickly here. Yeah, okay, y'all can see that. Let me just hide this comment so y'all can see it a little bit better. And I'll make it bigger for accessibility. Hopefully y'all can see that pretty good. Just bear with me, see if I can make that bigger. Is it zooming? Yeah, it's zooming. There we go. So I just did a quick, oh, no, thank you. No, thank you, entrepreneur. I just did a quick Google on other founders, entrepreneurs who were forced out of their own companies. And as we're going through this list, it goes through something I was just pointing out a few minutes ago. I think this may be the first time we've seen it at this level for a Black woman founder in tech. So if you look through this list, oh, there is Steve Jobs, his black turtleneck from Apple. Okay, he's one. All right, there is Jack Dorsey from Twitter. I remember that one. I don't remember the Steve Jobs one because that was, I don't remember that, but I definitely remember when Jack Dorsey got pushed out from Twitter, from the Twitters. Travis Kalanick from Uber. Now, there was a lot going on in Uber back then, though, right? There was a lot going on in Uber because I think that was around the time of the Me Too movement, y'all. And there was some things going on over there. The founder of Groupon, Andrew Mason, Jerry Yang, co-founder of Yahoo, David Neilman, JetBlue. Now that's not a tech company, but y'all see what I'm talking about. Mike Eberhard from Tesla. Now, I didn't know. Now, mind you, I didn't know. I thought Tesla was founded wholly by Elon Musk. I didn't know that he had a co-founder. Okay, I did not know that. I love finding out new things. Rob Kalin, Etsy or Etsy, as some people call it. Dove Charney, American Apparel. So again, that's not a tech company. But a lot of tech, some of these aren't tech companies, but tech is a lot of the underlying infrastructure of these companies. George Zimmer, Men's Warehouse, and that's it. So y'all see my point about what I was saying a few minutes ago. I think this is the first time we may have seen an ouster, which is not good, right? Of a Black woman founder of a tech company. So yeah, y'all, that's it. That's the news. Now, I'll be sure after this live to link to the video I did back in January talking about this story. And I said in that video back in January, I said, yeah, as more news is coming out about this ouster, I'll be sure to do another video. It took 8 months. It took a lot of time. So I'm definitely going to continue following this story. I find it so interesting and engaging. It's unfortunate. I have a feeling this is not the end of it. Clearly it's not, since there's now a lawsuit. But Black women are already very underrepresented in tech, no matter what type of tech. I'm a registered nurse and I work in healthcare tech, and I have for a long time. And even in the type of work that I do as a registered nurse working in tech, there's not a lot of Black women. There's just not. There's not a lot of minority women. I do work with a Filipino. She's from the Philippines. Well, I don't work with her, but she's on another team. There are a few at a company I work at now and a company I've worked at in the past, but there is not very many. Okay. And that's just not in healthcare tech. That's in, people who are programmers, project managers, program managers, UX designers. There is, and maybe I'll do a video on this. If y'all would like to see a video on this, maybe I'll do a separate video on this. There is a couple of other organizations, not as large as Black Girl Code, because Black Girls Code is targeted to young Black girls, but there are other organizations from Black women in tech that I see doing some interesting things. Like STEM Noir is one that I just found out about like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I found out about them through Afro Tech. But there's not a lot of Black women in tech. We're already very underrepresented, we already receive the least amount of funding from venture capitalists. Right. But I know there are Black women in tech doing a lot of great things. And again, I keep mentioning Catherine Finney and her project Diane, the work that she did around documenting all of the Black women. Like, she did a lot of work over a couple of years. I think her project Diane I think that culminated in like 2020, 2021. And I think she still keeps the website and all of that updated, but she keeps track of all the Black women founders in tech, their companies, the work that they're doing. And I think she also keeps track of the funding that their companies get. So this story around Black Girls Code and Kimberly Bryant, I definitely don't think this is the end of it. I'm going to keep following it. And I'll do as like chunks of news and information comes out. I will definitely be sure to, I'm going to stop my live here on TikTok. Thanks for everyone for joining on TikTok, because we're wrapping up now. I appreciate all the likes. So I'm going to go ahead and end that. But I'm definitely going to keep following this story. I don't think we've seen the end of it. I lead a team of nurse analysts, and I'm the only Black manager. I hear you. Okay. So yeah, y'all, that's it. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll definitely keep on the news. You're always welcome to leave a comment on the video for those who come back and watch the playback. I always say, just long as you can, I aim to keep the content on this channel inclusive and welcoming to all people, all nurses, no matter if you're LPN, RN, NA, or if you're a non-clinician working in tech, no matter what your background and how you identify, she, her, he, him, they, them, Black, white, Asian. I definitely aim to keep this a respectful, inclusive environment. So you all are always welcome to send me ideas or content. If there's things you want me to talk on, I'll be sure to leave my contact information in the description. And that's it, y'all. Hope y'all have a good evening. Okay. And I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you in the next video.